What is going on, guys? It's your boy Kwiopai, and today I'd like to briefly talk about Boruto. A lot of people, including myself, have some major problems with this series, but I'd just like to throw out one misconception that I personally believed for a long time, and that is that Boruto characters are overpowered. I used to think this too, with Boruto being able to beat a Kaguya or possibly Kaguya plus level fighter, and him seeming to know tons of jutsu for no reason. But I would just like to point out that a lot of these Boruto characters would get stomped if they were in the original Naruto. I'm going to do this in a way via a tier list, since I enjoy making them. So I think the easiest way to demonstrate this is I'm going to make a tier list for the original Naruto Chunin exams, and then I'm going to be plugging in Boruto characters after it's all filled out. I would like to add a quick preface. I know that strength in Naruto, especially early Naruto, varies a lot from time to time, and this can kind of throw off people's perception on how strong characters actually are. Some weird things that show up in early Naruto are Naruto easily beating Mizuki with pretty much zero difficulty as an academy student with no apparent large QB buff. Then there's the Zabuza arc, which is kind of retarded if you kind of listen to what they're actually saying, because they comfortably place Zabuza, Haku, Kakashi, Mad Naruto, and maybe even Sasuke at vaguely Kage level, because Zabuza assassinates the Mizukage, Haku is said to be stronger than him, Kakashi is slightly stronger than him, Naruto's stronger than him, so yeah, I don't fucking know what to tell you. Then lastly, even the Blessed Chunin exams isn't safe because you have Guy calling Lee the world's best taijutsu user, which is bullshit, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out so you guys know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to make this a pretty simple tier list. It's going to be 6 tiers going from F to S, which is pretty standard if you're not really into tier lists. The characters are ranked above one another, denotes that I think they're stronger. I think that's pretty obvious. And a jump in tier shows a significant difference in power, and is kind of a way to group characters that I think are relatively similar. First off is F tier with the 3 weakest characters that actually matter in the Chunin exams, those being Sakura, Ino, and Choji. I think Choji's a little bit stronger than them. He has really bad showings against Dosu, with those being his only showings, and Sakura and Ino are easily slapped around by the Sound Ninja as well. I don't think this should be too controversial. So here's F tier all filled out. Next, first in the D tier is Kiba. Kiba is by no means weak, but he got his ass beat by pre-training unenhanced Naruto. He kinda sucks. Next is Naruto, obviously. He appears 3 times on this list, so don't worry if you're like, why the fuck is Naruto this low? This is his weakest version. This is basically the Naruto before he receives Jiraiya's training and having his chakra unsealed. If you guys don't really remember, Naruto had tons of problems with chakra control due to Orochimaru sealing access to the Kyuubi, meaning that he either couldn't or just had a lot of trouble accessing any kind of Kyuubi buff, and he also had problems accessing his normal chakra. Then finally, at the tip of D tier is Hinata. She doesn't have extremely good feats. The only thing she really does is have a one-on-one fight with Neji for a short period of time where he was holding back. I just think that she'd be able to shut down the chakra points of the characters below her, and unlike unsealed Naruto, he couldn't just power through with the Kyuubi, and Kiba would just kind of get shit on. Here's D tier filled out on the list. Next, we're actually going to get into the meat of most of the characters, with C tier and Shino being at the bottom. I think he's relative with Kankuro, so I'm also going to put him here. I'm going to put Kankuro a little bit above, just because I think his powers are a little more useful in a wide variety of situations, but they were able to fight to a stalemate, so they're basically even. Next is Tamari. She's a lot smarter than Kankuro, so I'm going to put her slightly higher. If you think Kankuro and Shino are stronger, that's fine. I just don't see it. I think with her strong wind jutsu, she'd be able to beat either of them, but there's no real feats separating them, so it's kind of headcanon. Next is Shikamaru for pretty obvious reasons. I think anyone below him he could put in a trap. He was able to stop like 10 or 12 Chunin while exhausted. But anyone above him I think could, blitz him, or they could just hold out, until his shadow position jutsu's done, and then, kick his ass. Next we have base pre-Chidori training Sasuke. This is before the curse mark, before his training to be as fast as Lee. This is the Sasuke that fought Lee. He got his ass beat by Lee. We all saw that. but he was able to intimidate Tamari and Kankuro and earn the respect of Gaara even while in this base form, so he's pretty high up. Next we have Rock Lee, who also appears 3 times on the list, just because you kind of need to. This is Rock Lee wearing his weights. He beat Sasuke's ass. He lost to Dosu, who's above him. Pretty self-explanatory. And as I just mentioned, at the top of C we have Dosu. He fucked on weighted Lee. He got one shot by Gaara. That's kind of all he does. I think I'm pretty comfortable putting him here, though. Here's C tier all filled out. Next, we have B tier, where we have Sasuke pre-training using the curse mark, or CM1, I'm going to call it for the rest of the video. If you guys didn't know, CM1 or curse mark 1 is just the symbols, and then curse mark 2 is when they transform into like a monster thing. So this Sasuke blitzed Zaku in an instant, broke both of his arms. Lee could not have done that with his weights on, so I'm putting him here. Next is Lee without his weights on. He was fast enough to hit Gaara, but not strong enough to break his sand armor. Actually thinking about it, I think Curse Mark 1 Sasuke is a little bit stronger, but it's just kind of headcanon. You can't really tell. I know Sasuke has jutsu access too. So I'm actually going to put Sasuke above Weightless Lee, but they're pretty relative and there's no way to differentiate them. Then at the top of B tier is Neji post-training with the rotation. It's unclear if he had rotation before the month that he trained in the Chunin exams because he never displays it, but it's kind of headcanon to say whether or not he had it before. I don't really care. I'm saying this is Neji with rotation. He was able to constantly beat a probably weightless Lee pretty easily, sometimes without his Byakugan, as shown in the flashback, but he got soundly defeated by Naruto. Also, the reason I'm putting him above like Dosu is because Dosu almost shit his pants when he thought he was going to have to fight Neji in the Forest of Death. But he was still prepared to do it, so he's not super far above Dosu. Here is B tier all filled out. So at the bottom of A, we have Naruto post-training with Jiraiya. This Naruto got a massive amp, being relative to post-training Sasuke in speed, as seen in their rooftop battle. I know this was after Naruto trained with Jiraiya again, but he didn't actually train. All he really did was learn their Sengon, so I'm going to say they're somewhat relative. This is also corroborated by the way that he was able to kind of keep up with Neji, who was able to shit on Weightless Lee, and he was able to overpower Neji with his weakest QB buff, with no pupil change, no whisker definition. He didn't even have an actual cloak, and he one-shot him. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. The rest of A tier is where we get pretty personal. A lot of people have strong feelings about this, and that is Rock Lee in his 3rd to 5th gate, Gaara pre-One Tails buff, and Sasuke post-Chidori training. All 3 are pretty relative to each other, and looking around the community, there seems to be a somewhat rock-paper-scissors consensus, where Rock Lee beats Sasuke, Sasuke beats Gaara, and Gaara beats Rock Lee. I think that's somewhat true, but I think Sasuke, honestly, beats Rock Lee. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think Rock Lee is completely overhyped. I think, he could barely fight Gaara. Gaara had no chance of losing. So, I'm just going to put Sasuke above both of them. Here is A tier all filled out. Finally, we have S tier, which is pretty self-explanatory. We have Gaara and Naruto. These guys are both monsters. They're both easily Kage level with their, relative tailed beast buffs. Gaara is able to turn into the One Tails, which, required the Kazekage to suppress, and Naruto was able to summon Gamabunta and duel one-on-one with the tailed beast. You guys remember, summons count as one-on-one fighting. Don't just say Gamabunta fought fucking the One Tails. That's not true. Naruto had to actually summon him, then he had to transform him, he had to strategize with him. Naruto is easily a Kage level fighter at this point. I don't think I have to argue with that, but some people really don't like hearing that, but, he just is. Now we're going to get on to the main focus of the video, which is proving that Boruto characters aren't that OP. The characters I'm going to be looking at are from the Chunin exams, and it's Team Konohamaru, Team Udon, and Team Muegi, and then Shinky. So I'm just going to do what we did for the main tier list, and I'm going to go from F tier up to S tier, placing the characters along the way and kind of explaining where they're going. So first up we have Denki, who's going straight into F tier. He has absolutely no decent feats. I'm putting him below Sakura, Ino, and Choji. He completely sucks. I don't think anyone's going to argue with this. Next is Iwabe and Inojin. They have very little actual showings, and I feel kind of weird placing them anywhere because they don't really do anything in the Chunin exams. I'm going to throw them in around Kiba. I know some people might be mad about that, but they just don't really do anything, so I'm just going to have to put them there. Chocho actually slightly impressed me, far outclassing her father due to her being able to use the partial expansion jutsu, which adds a lot of versatility and movement. I'm going to put her around Hinata level based almost solely on her fight against Shinky and how well she did in it. I know she got stomped by Shinky, who wasn't really even trying, but the fact that she was able to get that far is, kind of indicative of how strong she is. Next, we have Shikadai, who is a Shikamaru clone. I'm going to put him right below Shikamaru. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We haven't seen Shikadai go all out, so it's kind of hard to judge how strong he is compared to Shikamaru. Shikamaru has the feat where he stopped like 10 Chunin. Shikadai only stopped Boruto clones, although Shikadai wasn't struggling or talking about how he's running out of chakra at any point, so it's kind of hard to place him anywhere. So I'm just going to put him right below Shikamaru. Next, we have Metal Lee, who is pretty much featless. He got his ass beat by Shinky, who wasn't even trying. We don't know if he was wearing his leg weights and his arm weights at the time, or if he even wears them. I'm assuming he was. It's hard to tell. I'm going to put him right below Weightless Lee. I'm pretty sure he can't open up the gates. He's just not that good. Next up is Sarada, who's actually pretty impressive. She has a wide arsenal. She knows fire and lightning release jutsu. She knows healing ninjutsu. She has, time skip level Sakuras of, levels of strength. I'm not saying she has Shippuden Sakura levels of strength, but I think she has somewhere in like Sakura training with Tsunade level of strength, somewhere in there during those 2 years, which is pretty generous. But she also has access to the Sharingan, and, she did okay against Shinky, so I'm actually going to put her right here, below Sasuke. Next, we have Boruto, who I'm putting at Weighted Rock Lee or Dosu level. This is mostly due to him not being able to even fight Shikadai in a one-on-one, and his lackluster performance against Shinky. He's not as creative or powerful as some later iterations of Naruto, and I think he's, somewhere around Sasuke level. His only feat that counters this is him killing Momoshiki, which is a complete bullshit outlier that doesn't make any sense. The part with him actually being able to hit him with the Rasengan, where he blitzes him and then is able to hit him with the Rasengan, is complete bullshit. Momoshiki can be scaled bare minimum to faster than lightning, most likely faster than light if we go off the Light Fang feat, but I think it was just a cool dramatic moment. I don't think people need to be super pissed off about it. I just want to say that's an outlier. That doesn't really matter. I'm basing him off what he actually does in the Chunin exams. Next is Mitsuki. Mitsuki was able to fight adult Shino to a standstill. He was doing it decently against Shinky, but was not powerful enough to defeat him in one-on-one combat. I'm going to place him next to Naruto in A tier. I think that's pretty respectful. Next is Shinky. He seems to be similar in strength to his father. He was kind of slapping around Boruto and Sarada in a 2-on-1 fight. I do, however, think that he's slightly weaker than Gaara. This is mostly due to him having to manually control his Iron Sand, the Iron Sand having a weakness to lightning, and him not having access to a Jinchuriki buff. I'm going to put him right above Mitsuki, but below Gaara. And then finally we have Mitsuki in S tier. It's unclear exactly how strong he is with his, just to clear up, this is Mitsuki with his crazy dragon sage mode buff. It's unclear exactly how strong he is. His only real feat in this form is blitzing Orochimaru in that one episode. If that feat is legit, and he actually did blitz Orochimaru, then I'm pretty sure he's pretty far above Naruto level. Because that would put him, above Orochimaru, who, is way above, standard, Kage level Naruto fighting a tailed beast. So, it's pretty unclear. I'm just going to put him up at S tier. If you guys want to argue that, that feat's bullshit, or Mitsuki is fucking Naruto level, adult Naruto level, I can't argue with you. We haven't seen him do anything. So that pretty much wraps it up. As you can see, Boruto characters aren't actually that OP. Boruto himself only has one impressive outlier feat by getting completely amped by his dad. He did not do any of that by himself. When he actually has to fight one-on-one, he's barely Shikadai level. the characters are okay, but honestly, they're not even that good compared to their Naruto counterparts. I think, without a doubt, they're going to grow, exponentially stronger, and they might even reach, Boruto War Arc or Naruto War Arc levels at some point, but we just don't know yet. We're going to have to wait and see. I think this kind of clears it up. I think a lot of people have it in their head that, Boruto is a fucking, basically a fan-made character who could, solo Naruto, when that simply isn't true. He'd get his ass beat by his dad, even when he was a little kid. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been Kawaii Pie, and I'll see you guys next time.